Thank you.
Now, Richard, I want to go back to your intuitive self, okay? Now, I remember you in we were friends, but we didn't hang out. We had lots of close mutual friends. You did the practical theater after I went to New York with Brad and Julia and Paul.
You guys were actually instrumental in why I am where I am today.
We'll get into that then. But here's the thing, Rich. You were in the theater department, and you were very talented and very funny and a real character. But
I wasn't in the theater. I wasn't in the theater department.
But you did theater.
I did.
And we would talk, and I really thought that your destiny, I thought you told me you're taking over Dad's jewelry business. I thought that you were going to lead a very straight and narrow life back in Trenton, New Jersey, where you're from. So I'm at SNL, and then I'm in Los Angeles, and suddenly, Richard Kind, I hear about doing Second City, and you became literally a scholar of improvisation. You just embraced it, and it lived through you to where you could teach. I mean, just tell me a little bit about the sort of metamorphosis.
Everything you just said needs a little explanation. Okay?
Okay. Maybe you were wrong.
I am certainly not a scholar of improvisation. I was a practitioner because I went from the theater that you started. Let's start with the beginning. The theater you started, Practical Theater, when you guys went to SNL, I used to see you in the city, and I went to parties, and you said, why don't you invited Birch to go out to open a show?
Yeah.
And I asked if I could. You invited Birch. I imposed myself on you guys. I went out with Birch on January 2nd. We drove out to Chicago. We were all excited. I read Something Wonderful right away. We were all excited. I had never improvised before, and we created that show called Megafun.
Megafun.
The night that it opened, Bernie Solins saw the opening night and told Birch and myself to see him in his office the next day. We came in, and he offered us a job on the main stage, not even in touring company.
I never knew.
And
that.
I said I don't improvise. Now Birch improvised because he did the Meow Show, but I had never improvised before, and I said I don't improvise, and he just went, "You'll learn." In any case, I went into Second City. Birch eventually got fired. I remained for about 4.5 years.
Yeah,
and I learned. I learned in front of an audience, and for 1.5 years, I really sucked. Then I became better, and then for about 1 year, I was the guy, the star in Chicago of Second City. But I was always a good actor, and I found out it's good if you're a good improviser. If you're a good actor, it's nice to know about improvising. But in order to be a good improviser, you got to be a good actor. And so I was a good actor, and I was a mediocre improviser. And there were much funnier people than me. I'm a reactor. That's where I really learned how to react. And I have a rubbery face, and I could react and get my laughs on that. You know, and you say fuck in White Castle, and you get a laugh.
Wow. But it is interesting that you said that you learned a lot just by doing it. It's not. There are games and things you fall back on. Is that basically what happens with improv?
Well, yes, I can fall back on, but I don't like to say that because I knew what to fall back on. I would constantly try and challenge myself. And by challenging myself, I would say, don't go for the laugh. Don't try and be successful that night. Let's stay in the scene and try and create a scene. There's a famous story, I don't know whether it's apocryphal, but where when Paul Sills was directing Second City, the actors went out and they had a great scene. And he comes in the next night and he says, go out, I want you to do the same scene, but if it gets one laugh, I'm cutting it. And they go out. The next night, go out, do it, but if it gets one laugh, I'm cutting it. And he did this for about 5 or 6 successive nights. If it gets one laugh, I'm cutting it. Finally, he came backstage, he said, okay, go out, do it, and make it funny.
Wow.
So that is the school that I am more from. I think the Groundlings are much funnier and much more character-driven than I am. I think that's Groundlings, UCB. Those are much greater wits than I could ever be. And they started out funny and are so free that they can create scenes. I'm good. I can hold my own. I am not. What did you call me? A master, a scholar?
Well, yeah, I was just looking for superlatives. You know, I was fishing there.
But no superlatives. Well, and I will tell you this: I will teach beginning improv, but I will not teach other improvers because I am afraid that I'm going to get a Robin Williams in there, and by teaching him the rules and how to stay in that, I will suppress that magical talent. And so I don't teach improv.
I think, and I don't want to talk about me, but I do think that that's my approach too. I was never the goofy, funny person. I always approached it, even if practical, as an actor.
Right.
But Richard, the first time I saw you on the Second City stage is when you came out and you created Second City in Los Angeles.
Okay.
That's the first time, and I went, holy shit.
That was good.
Richard now is there with the big boys, just, you know, at the top of your game.
I was. That was after 4 years in Chicago, and then I was I was supposed to open the original company in Santa Monica, which I thought once I get to Hollywood and I'm on the stage, just the golden chariots will arrive, and I'll ride into Universal or MGM or Paramount and do it. And they promised me a spot. And then he took me, Andrew Alexander, who I love today, but not that night, took me to the Palm and told me that I was not going to open in the first company in Santa Monica after having been promised for over a year. And my greatest regret was that I didn't order a lobster because I was taught don't order the most expensive thing. Yes. And fuck Andrew Alexander, and I should have ordered a lobster, but I didn't. Wow. Andrew has since that time, it took him a little while, but has become one of the most generous, most giving, and he turned a corner. He learned his lesson from Joyce Sloan, who used to be the mother of Second City.
I knew her well.
And Andrew was changed. He used to be Scrooge, and Andrew changed into Scrooge on Christmas Day, where he gives the kid a shilling and says, "Go buy the biggest turkey." He became a heavenly angel. He is a wonderful man, and of late he's been getting. I've been reading some of that. Yeah, so he's been getting bad mouth, and he should not.
Yeah, I know.
He was a very gracious and great man.